Good afternoon and welcome to the next in our series of virtual online classes brought to you by the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the Smithville Public Library, as well as some very generous funding partners, which our library director, Judy Bergeron, is going to thank now. Judy.
Thank you, April. The opportunity to bring these classes to our community came from a CARES grant through the Institute for Museum and Library Services and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. Sorry. You'd think I'd remember this alphabet soup, but and it has been a great series of classes that the Chamber has helped put together. We've gotten some great information from a lot of different vendors, business owners, and agency experts that we're going to hear from one today. But they've been sharing so many different ways that will help our businesses and nonprofit organizations thrive through some of the changes that we've seen through the COVID pandemic. So we are very grateful to be able to do this. And the experts for today are a lead-in also to our Eco Photo Fest that is coming up in Smithville, sponsored by the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce and Keep Smithville Beautiful. And it's a wonderful opportunity to learn about sustainability and also to share your photos. And speaking of experts, we will have some photographic experts that'll share their work. So Mary's going to talk to us today about water conservation, if I'm not mistaken. And in these hot days of summer, it's a very important topic. So thank you for being here, Mary. And thank you, April, for being part of this.
Thank you, Judy. I appreciate that. And that's why I let Judy do all the thank yous, because the alphabet soup is hard to remember.
That was a lot.
Yes. So before Mary gets started on her class, and she will be sharing some slides, those slides will also be available for those of you that are watching the recording. Of course, you can find this recording along with many others at smithvilletx.org, as well as on our Facebook page at Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce, and on the Facebook page of the Smithville Public Library. So today we are welcoming Mary Pretty. So Mary, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it away.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you, Judy. That was pretty impressive. That was a lot of soup. So as both Judy and April said, we are going to be speaking today on the topic of water conservation. And unlike the topic that we covered on earlier on energy conservation, this topic is pretty self-explanatory. I mean, there's not a lot that municipalities or organizations can do, except just stress to people that we need to conserve water. You know, when we have energy concerns, during the hot days of summer, there's measures that can be put in place to turn down thermostats. There's things that we can do, but with something as critical to life as water, where this is really just a plea to businesses and also to citizens on the importance of conserving water. So this is on the Smithville series. I am, for those of you that were with us the other day, I am still Mary Kay Pretty. Fortunately, I'm still the Conservation Program Manager at the City of Austin's Office of Sustainability. And let's get started. So I said today's topic on water conservation is going to center around just some tips that businesses and homeowners and residents can do to conserve water. We're going to start with a series of what I call Diginos. And anyone that has a child, I think, has experienced this. Your child comes home from school and you ask them. So my son's name is Jeffrey. So Jeffrey, what did we learn in school today? And of course, the answer was always nothing. As a mom and primarily as a taxpayer, this was a concern of mine. So we initiated the Digino rule in our house. So from the time that my son first came home and said he didn't learn anything in the second grade until he graduated from high school, he had to come home and give me 2 Diginos. And they were just some, quick, fun little facts that told me he was paying attention in school, and there had to be something. It couldn't be, did you know I hate cleaning my room in tuna fish casserole? Be, because I already knew that. So we're going to start with some did you knows, and then we're going to move into some of the reasons for water conservation. Some of them might surprise people, and then just some very simple things that people can do not only at home but also in the workplace to conserve water. So, did you know that only 3% of the Earth's water is fresh, and of that 3%, only about 0.5% is available to drink? Approximately 97% of the world's water supply is salt water, so it's not able to be consumed by humans. And of the available 3%, a large portion, about 2.5% of that, is actually in glaciers, ice caps and things where we don't have access to it. So, you think of the old saying, water everywhere, not a drop to drink. It can certainly get to that point. Water is not a finite. Did you know that the average person in the United States uses approximately 100 gallons of water per day? This is using bathroom facilities, showering, cooking, washing clothes. What's interesting about this fact is that it is well above. We are way above the global average. We on average use about 58% more water per day than citizens in many other countries. So, did you know that close to 9 billion, yes, that's billion with a B, of water are used each day for residential outdoor use? Primarily this is for irrigation for lawn systems. And so, that's why we'll talk a little bit more about xeriscaping in the program, but why it's very important to look at what you're putting in your yard with regards to, and your businesses, for landscaping purposes, to make sure that those that you put in don't require a great deal of water. If you have trees on your facility, please, keep those and help those to thrive, because that shade that it provides is going to help save electricity on your energy bills, but it's also going to help keep water in your plants. And then also too, one thing we suggest with regards to outdoor watering is to make sure that if you have plants that require a great deal of water, try to group those in the same area. So that way, any wasted water is going to spill out into those plants that need it the most, so that you're not wasting water on plants that really don't need it. And of course, mulching is something that we stress a lot too, just to make sure that the water that we use is staying in those plants to keep them hydrated. The EPA actually suggests that people are overwatering their yards, that the folks really only need to water their yard once a day. So, once a week. And so if you obviously, we live in Texas, it's much hotter. Folks feel that they need to water their lawn more. A good way to offset that is to make sure you do have you're mulching your yard. You're making sure that you have trees to provide that cover. This is something my grandmother used to do. So, did you know that you use approximately 10 gallons a minute hosing off your driveway, or 100 gallons if you're hosing off your driveway for 10 minutes? So that's why we stress to people, grab a broom. I know after you've cut your grass or you've edged your yard, you want it to look nice. So I certainly understand that, but grab a broom. It'll save just countless amounts of water. Did you know that a water faucet that leaks 1 drop per second can add up to 3,000 gallons a year? And we talked about this a little bit the other day about how it seems like, oh, that's just such a tiny thing. If I don't do this, it's not going to have a big impact. Yeah, 1 drop of water, not a big deal. But if that's running continuously for 60 seconds, it's a minute. That minute turns into an hour. Hours turn into days. Days turns into weeks, months, and years. 3,000 gallons of water. That's that's a considerable amount. So this is something we stress to kids, and it's so simple, and something we can all do at least twice a day, is that you can save 200 gallons of water each month just by turning off the faucet while you brush your teeth. We like to use a visual with kids, just, and just ask them, remember those gallon jugs of water that you see at, local grocery stores, or your gallons of milk. That's 200 of those, 50 of those a week you can save, just by turning off water when you brush your teeth. It doesn't need to run all the time. Did you know that it takes over 13 gallons of water to produce 1 gallon of gasoline? So just trying to stress to people that, things that you don't typically think of when you think of water conservation can have a big impact. So obviously we talked the other day about conserving gasoline, driving more efficiently. Certainly it can have a big impact with regards to our world's water supply as well. Then it takes approximately 3 gallons of water to produce 1 sheet of paper. So we're going to talk a little bit more next week about the importance of waste management and keeping things out of the landfills. But if we're not using as much paper, we're not buying as much paper, certainly that's going to save money, but it's also, we're not needing to produce as much paper. So in addition to, saving trees, it's also going to save a great deal of water. And typically you don't think, paper and water are a good mix, but with regards to water conservation, they certainly go hand in hand. Did you know that by the year 2025, there will be 1 billion new mouths to feed? And that it will take the equivalent of 20 Nile rivers to provide for the agricultural needs. I was going to put the number out because the number works out to 1 trillion cubic meters of water. And if you take that out, you have to take the zero out 14 points or 14 places. So it was going to be too big for my screen. So that's why I tried to put it in the context of something that folks could understand. But the amount of water that in 20 Nile rivers is what we're going to need just for the additional people, just to take care of their agricultural needs. We're not even looking at, bathing. We're not looking at, taking care of their homes. We're not looking at, taking care of their pets, things of that nature. So this is just to feed them. So, and if you take nothing away from today's presentation, I would really like folks to understand the connection between water conservation and energy conservation. And this is from the Environmental Protection Agency. And they say that running the hot water, I do want to stress the hot water, that if you run your hot water faucet for 5 minutes, that uses as much energy as if you burned a 60-watt light bulb for 22 hours. So essentially an entire day. And what that is obviously, the water has to be purified. The energy it takes to pump it to your home. Once it gets to your home, the energy that it takes to heat it up. And then obviously once you've completed your task, to get that water back so that it can be treated again. But I mean, an incredible amount of energy goes into just making certain that we have clean water for drinking and other purposes. So we've talked about some of the did you know, some of the reasons as why we need to conserve water. So breaking that down a little bit more, obviously it's necessary for life, right? I mean, we can go, a week or so without food, a day or two without water. We have to have water. We have to have water to drink. We have to have water to bathe ourselves, to make sure that we have, clean clothes, clean dishes. We have to have water to grow the vegetables, to grow the food that we need, to water our livestock, to water our companion animals. So, I mean, basically, it's just necessary for life. Secondly, it's to save money. If you're a business or a homeowner, you know, it just doesn't make any sense to just, you know, leave the tap on all the time. That's, you know, we're wasting water and you're wasting money. You know, as we just learned, you know, in addition to the water, you know, your electric bill, you know, could very well, you know, be going up as, you know, as well. So very important that the water conservation and saving money, they go hand in hand. Protecting our ecosystems. Ecosystems have such a delicate balance. You know, they, you know, just a rise in temperature by a degree or two could mean the extinction of certain types of wildlife or marine life. And as water levels go down, obviously the temperature of those waters, since there's less of it, we've got more sun heating it, that's going to raise those temperatures. So it's going to throw that balance off. So very important water conservation, so we can just, you know, make sure that the ecosystems stay in that very delicate balance that they have. And this is one that people don't think of. And as a small child, this sinkhole scared me, but you know, conserving water can help reduce the occurrence of sinkholes. Yeah, because sinkholes occur when there's sort of a shifting in the Earth's foundation, and you know, aquifers will help provide that foundation as the water is flowing through. It's keeping things stable. But as we go in, you know, and drill in areas or pull that water out of these aquifers, that can cause a shift. You know, as the water is taken out, you know, suddenly, you know, the pressure increases, and that shift will cause sinkholes. So, you know, these cannot be natural occurrences, you know, just by, you know, water drying out, but in a lot of cases, these occur because of they're man-made, because we go in and we're drilling for, you know, minerals or water or, you know, other things. So it can be kind of scary. I've seen a lot of, I'll say I've seen more in the news, you know, stories of just, you know, sinkholes opening up, and one big reason is because, you know, water levels are under the Earth's surface are decreasing. Saving energy. As I said, if you learn nothing else today, please understand and put together that, you know, saving water saves energy. You know, whether I said purifying it, heating it, you know, pumping it to your home, that takes a great deal of energy. So hand in hand, those two go. We're going to prepare for future droughts. It's, you know, we've actually had a relative for Texas, you know, a relatively, we'll say mild, because, you know, we didn't top the 100-degree mark for, you know, months and months during the summer as we have in the past. But you know, all indications are that it's going to get hot, it's going to get hotter, and it's going to stay hotter longer. So we're going to need more water. And it's, you know, it's like a water bank account, right? You know, you want to save as much money as you can, because you don't know what's going to happen down the road. And, you know, the same can be applied to the water conservation movement. We don't know. We've got, you know, people, well, just in the Austin area alone, you know, looking at, you know, hundreds of new people coming in, you know, that's certainly going to stress our already taxed water supply. And we don't know how hot it's going to be. We don't know how much rain we're going to have. So that's why it's so important that we conserve the water that we do have. Conserving water helps build safe, clean communities. You know, we have to understand that, you know, we like turning on the water, you know, to, you know, brush our teeth, to, you know, make a glass of tea, you know, to, you know, fill the dog's water bowl. But I mean, there are organizations that must have not just a clean water supply, but a large clean water supply. They're looking at hospitals, rehabilitation centers, you know, firehouses. You know, these are organizations that you know, must have, in order to save those in need, a large supply of clean water. And as I said, we as we're growing, we don't know if you know, what the taxation is going to be on our water system. So, you know, we just need to, you know, to understand that it's not just us. You know, we got future generations that and others in the community that we need to look out for. You know, speaking of future generations, you know, scientists are predicting that by the year 2050, there'll be 3 billion more people on the earth. And so if we're talking now about, conservation measures, imagine how much dire the situation is going to be in 20, 25 years as we've added more people. And we're not sure how much rain we're going to have. So these are some of the reasons that it is so important that we conserve water at every opportunity. So how can I? Tell me, Mary, what can I do to conserve water? And just as I said the other day, simple steps, turning off the faucet when you brush your teeth. I gave you the numbers a little bit earlier, 200 gallons a month. I mean, say you have a family of 5, that's 1,000 gallons of water a month, 12,000 gallons a year, just by making sure that when you brush your teeth, you just turn the water on, get a glass of water, turn it off, scrub the molars, scrub the bicuspids, scrub the incisors, and, use that water to rinse your mouth out with. It's very simple. I was very happy when my son started washing his own clothes. I thought, yeah, he's maturity. Then I would look in the washer and see that he had used, the full water capacity for 1 pair of jeans and a shirt. So just making sure that when you use your appliances, be it your washing machines or your dishwashers, that they're filled to capacity. It can have a big savings, again, not just on the water, but on energy as well. And so many detergents now are formulated to work better in cold water. I know I grew up in a household where if it wasn't in hot water, it wasn't clean, and that's that's why many of my black shirts were gray by the next day. But it's that's no longer the case. Use a low flow shower head and faucet aerators. And we talked a little bit about earlier about just saving water just on when your faucets start dripping, and this is a good time to change out those shower heads and aerators if you're noticing that they're dripping. They can cut your water usage, depending upon which brand you used or you're switching from. Up to 80% in your water savings. So we talked about leaks, and just get those repaired as soon as possible. It obviously with anything, the earlier you catch it, hopefully it won't be as extensive. As you let things go and water pools, can certainly cause damage to foundations. Can wreak havoc on driveways, things like that. So as you see those, just from a conservation standpoint, then also a money saving standpoint, it's best to act on those as quickly as possible. If you're able and you're redoing your yard, install native plants. There are plants that that are made to grow here in Texas, and they can get by with minimal watering, minimal times, and still flourish and look nice. There's you can install rock gardens, you can expand decks, so you don't have as much green grass that needs watering. There are so many different ways that you can redo your yard, and it's the landscape architecture is a growing industry now. So there are folks out there that can help you decide what you need to put in based on your size of your yard or your budgetary needs, and can cut down on water usage and the time that you're outside mowing the yard. That's always a big seller at my house. Pay attention to if you have an irrigation system. This is something that we get a lot of citizens will call us and ask us to maybe go talk to a neighbor or talk to a citizen, because they'll have an irrigation system, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when the sun's its highest and it's 100 degrees outside, they're watering your yard. One, that's not good, just for the consumer or the individual that's watering their yard, because it's not a very efficient way to do that. you know, a lot of that water is evaporating off, so it's not having the benefit. So they're going to have to, you know, to water longer in order to achieve the green grass that they want. And then, as I said, it's just a big waste. And also having, you know, your irrigation system on timers like this, you know, what if it's raining? You know, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you know, and, you know, we're in the middle of a giant thunderstorm. Doesn't make a lot of sense to be out watering your yard. So for those that have, you know, irrigation systems on timers, you know, best to either do those early in the morning or, you know, after the sun goes down. So that way, you know, you use less, or excuse me, you lose less through evaporation. Install a rain barrel for outdoor watering. And you know, when I say this, people look at me and go, gosh, Mary, those are thousands and thousands of dollars. Now, I'm not talking about putting, you know, a cistern in your yard, you know, the size of your house. You know, you can buy some at, you know, local stores that, you know, hold 20, 30 gallons of water. And if you know, where they're placed in your yard, you know, you open them up to catch the rain. And if you've got a small vegetable garden or, you know, some rose bushes, things like that, it's more than enough. You know, like anything, let's try to match your equipment with your need. You know, if you live in a small house, you certainly don't need, you know, a rain cistern that you could swim in. So just know that, you know, that this is something that is easily fillable. They come in different sizes. They can, you know, we have one that we recently gave away to as a gift to an area school, and it looked like a basket with flowers on top. It was actually pretty cute, and you know, it held 100 gallons of water, and the school had 2 or 3 raised beds of a community food garden that they utilized the cistern for, and it worked perfectly. So if you can, rain barrels are the way to go. Use a spray nozzle when washing your car or watering your garden. I think we've all seen the neighbor that, you know, they're washing their car and they just, you know, throw the hose down, and, you know, they're watering their driveway. Research has shown that water does not help driveways grow, and it just wastes the water. So just make sure that you have an apparatus at the end where you can turn the water off and on. We actually suggest and recommend that those folks not wash your car at home. If you've got an area, a car wash in your neighborhood that uses recycled water, that's going to use a lot less water. So just something to consider. Monitor your water usage on your water bill. It's a great way to find out, you know, if you have a leak. And a lot of government agencies, municipalities their water departments will actually come out and do an audit for you, and take a look at make sure that if your plants, you know, are you have the right plants in your yard. And we talked about native plants earlier, but just making sure that that your water system is running smoothly. You know, we get into a habit, I know I do, of just going, it's a water bill, boom, let's pay it. Oh, let's pay it. And then, you know, taking a look, you know, at 1 month to the next, or excuse me, you know, looking at a few months later and going, wait, why is that so much more? And, you know, it turned out we had a leak on our property. So, you know, we were able to get that corrected, and the bill went down, and I felt a lot better about going to my job every day. So, and as I said earlier, it says share your knowledge about saving water, but, you know, if you feel comfortable, you know, talking to or seeing your next door neighbor, you know, watering their driveway, or, you know, if you're, you know, installing new plants, you know, maybe talk to them about, you know, why we did this, and, you know, the benefits that it can have. You know, everyone knows that the best form of advertising is, you know, word of mouth. You know, a friend tells a friend, we've all seen the shampoo commercial, who tells 2 friends, who tells 2 friends, and, you know, the information is disseminated. I have found, though, that, you know, some folks just don't want to talk about it. You know, I've have been in my neighborhood and you know, seen folks watering their driveway and mentioned, hey, what about this? And, you know, they basically tell me to, you know, if I would buy it for them, they will put it on their hose. And I'll be honest, we've done that a few times. So it's also a good way to get to know your neighbors. So as I said in the beginning, this there wasn't a lot. You know, I could give you some examples of how to save, and then some the did you knows provided the why you should save. But a lot of this is just common sense. We you know, if you don't have to have the water on, you know, don't have the water on. If you're doing laundry, you're doing dishes, make sure that's, you know, that's filled. You know, if you drink a lot of water out of your tap, instead of, you know, keeping it on to cool down so you can drink it, you know, fill a pitcher, you know, have something in the refrigerator. So, you know, that way, you know, that it's cold all the time. There are just so many things that we can do to save water, and they're such tiny little steps. So that's going to conclude it. I'm going to leave. This is my contact information, my direct contact information. If anybody would like to contact me, please do so. It's at mary.pretty@austintexas.gov, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. If you would like to know just some more things that my office, the Office of Sustainability, is working on, this is our website. It can tell you some programs that we have, some things that we have coming up, and it's social media. Anybody would like to follow our office on Facebook, that is at facebook.com/Austin Sustainability. So I'm going to, at this point, very slowly, in case people are copying the information down, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see if we have any questions in the chat that I can answer. Let's see. Did you like, we like the did you knows, yay. So I have a question that in the production process, especially gas and paper, are there features in place that allow recirculation of the water, or does it all go into the wastewater stream? The answer is it depends on the business. I guess, excuse me, it depends on the company. Those with more of an environmental frame of mind, that water is recirculated. It can be. Obviously, that's going to be more expensive. And then there are those businesses that, you know, we just need to get this done. We need it done quickly. We need to get it done, you know, in a cheaper fashion. So that water will go into the wastewater stream. So that's why it's always good to look for green businesses when shopping. So
Thank you, Mary. I just had a question texted to me, and I'm interested in the answer to this question. Are there processes in Texas or throughout the United States that are working towards, in a serious way, desalinization efforts? It's an interesting question.
It's a very interesting question. And I mean, it would solve all of our problems. And April and I spoke just briefly before we started the production. I have a grant program that our office is called the Bright Green Futures Grants. And it gives grants to area schools. And I will tell you that in the last 5 or 6 years, I have probably had 20 to 25 projects that were specific to desalination. It's something that companies are working on. It's something that, you know, 13-year-old kids sitting on the beach, you know, looking out, you know, certainly with, you know, more get up and go than I had at 13. You know, thinking, you know, how can we make this, how can we get this, the salt out and, you know, be able to utilize this water for, you know, consumption purposes. And it's being worked on. It's just, it's not going well. I'll be very honest. But, you know, it's not able to be done on a large scale. I mean, you know, some of these projects, I mean, again, from 13, 14-year-old brilliant middle school students, are able to do it on a very small scale. So it's going to take some time. I mean, there have been successes, but in order to expand that so that, it can serve large communities, yeah, I wish I had a timetable for you, but know that it is seriously being worked on.
Well, there you go. I think we've identified the next Nobel Prize possibility there. Somebody figures out the large scale.
Exactly. It's like, there you go, guys. We've given you the problem. Go solve it. Yeah. So
I'm just waiting to see if anyone else that's on has any questions before we conclude our program. I will tell you, I was stunned to see how much water we use just to brush our teeth. I had no idea that you use. I guess it's 100 gallons every time you brush your teeth. So twice a day, 200 gallons of water. But the other thing that really surprised me is by the year 2050, there'll be 3 billion more people on the planet.
Yeah, I actually went, and I wasn't sure about that figure. I looked at 3 different sources on that. I was, no way. But I mean, by 2025, they're predicting 1 billion more, and people are slow down. I mean, I'm one of 5 children, and I just have 1. So I mean, it's
well, I'm in the same. I'm in one of 7 children, and I have 1 myself. But between us, we have 15 children. So I hear you. Yes.
Yeah, it's getting kind of crowded here.
Yeah.
I mean, you just think that if we're taxed now, if we invite billions more to the party, where are we going to put them? How are we going to feed them? How are we going to make sure that they have clean water?
All right, Mary, I appreciate you, and I don't see any other questions having come up. So again, I want those of you that are watching this recording to remember that this, along with several other presentations, including another by Mary from earlier this week, and in fact, look forward to another one coming up next week, are all available on smithvilletx.org or on the Smithville Public Library's Facebook page or the Smithville Area Chamber of Commerce Facebook page. I appreciate you, Mary. Thank you for being here. And that concludes our session today. Thank you.
Thank you.